You are now joining the meeting.
Hello, everyone. It's Derek. We've got Coach here. I'm going to turn it over to him and let him get started, and then we'll take your questions on Indiana.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, get ready for the Hoosiers after a very tough, disappointing game against Penn State. Game that, and looking back at the tape, really we had every opportunity to kind of put a dagger in them in the first half with some different things, and then hold them scoreless the first 5 possessions of the second half, and we can't take advantage of that, but we had chances to get up 7, 8, 9, 10 in the first half and really put them in a demoralizing situation, but we didn't do that. We missed the dunk, we missed the layup in transition, missed a couple free throws, front ends, and those are huge momentum plays that we have to understand, and we have to be on top of those things. And we talked about those things, and then our lack of effort in the second half in terms of just competing, and that's something that I'm not going to stand for. Give Penn State credit. I'm not trying to downplay anything they did, but that was a game that was right there for the taking, and then the last 8 minutes of that were us just laying down. So, but the good thing about basketball, we still got games to play. Tomorrow night's a new challenge against a team that's a little different than when we played them the first time, and they are at home, and we got to show up and fight.
Before we start with questions, I did get a text for whoever's vigorously pounding their laptop away. Some people are going for broadcast quality on this call, so if you could maybe mute it or while you're typing, that would help. Take questions.
Brad, this is Mark. Update on Michael, please.
Did not practice yesterday, and we'll see where he is at as he goes through the protocol again today.
Hi, Brad. It's Scott from DWS. How are you? What do you take away from the last time you played Indiana that you want to see again, especially knowing that both teams like to make adjustments?
That was a good college game. That was a game that, not just because we won the game, but I enjoyed watching it. It had some ebb and flow to it. It was a game that it was a game of adjustments. They were effective with Morgan in some ways that we had to adjust to. I think that's, we'll obviously see that. I thought we ran very good offense for the most part. I thought we had some opportunities, in the first half to take advantage of a few things that we didn't. But they were very good in transition. They capitalized on our quick shots and a couple of live ball turnovers and really got out in transition. But I would expect some of the same things. And Archie's one of the best tacticians and X and O guys out there. They're very, very solid defensively. For the most part, they did a pretty solid job on Trent. And, he got going a little bit in the first half, kind of kept us in it. But it was a good college basketball game. And I thought defensively, in the second half, we locked in a little bit. And I thought our pressure was effective, and we got a couple steals. And I would expect something very similar on Wednesday night.
Hey, Brad, Scott Ritchie. Looking at Greg, maybe the last 2 games, foul trouble's been kind of an issue, but has his production maybe been a little bit of a victim of some of your spacing issues, just the lanes and maybe not quite as empty as it was a month ago?
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. And I think the one thing that Greg can do and has to do is he's an elite rim runner, and man, he was going so hard early, and that puts the defense at a disadvantage. And we talked to him about it, and we didn't feel like maybe he was going as hard to the rim. But again, we get it. Everybody's loading up on Trent, and it has gotten more difficult from that standpoint. But again, I've got tremendous faith in our guys being able to step in and make some shots, and when that night comes and those days come and there's some consistency there, we've got to get Mark Smith going from that standpoint, making some jump shots. He's and get AJ back going again, and then things will open up again. But it's schematics that the other teams are trying to do, and we're going to have to continue to fight through it until we prove we can do it.
I got another one for you, Coach. You mentioned Juwan Morgan, from the way he played that first game. How do you just make his life a little more difficult offensively? Because he kind of feasted on really high percentage shots.
Well, yeah, he was 12 of 14, and he really did it in a lot of different areas. It's not just one way to stop him. They put him in some cross screening action. He scored. He led the break in transition. There was some pick and pop isolations for him, and there were some 15-foot jump shots. So he's a talented kid. He's a hard guard. We've got to do a better job in identifying some of our ball screen coverages, and then we've got to do a better job at just making his touches hard. I didn't think we fought him very well in terms of just trying to take things away. We had 5 or 6 opportunities that led to easy baskets, and we just gave in to the catch. And that's not who we want to be. And obviously, when you don't do that against a good player, you're going to give up baskets.
Brad, this is Scott again, Scott Beatty again. It seems to me there's some variances in minutes for some guys, and obviously Michael being out last game probably changed up how you wanted to rotate guys in and out. But is that being driven by performance or matchups or something else?
Performance. If I had, and it's more. I think it's one of the things that has been challenging is I don't know where it's coming from. From night in to night out, and we had 2 starters start the other night and didn't score a point, and that's frustrating, and you just don't know where you're getting it from, and when you look across and you kind of got to go with the hot hand at the moment, and that's something that. Again, it has led to our droughts. It's led to not getting to the free throw line. It's all that stuff has magnified because it's we're searching a little bit.
Would you say the same about units too, and the 5 that are on the floor searching for the right pieces together?
Say that again.
Is it similar to for the units that the 5 guys on the floor together searching for the 5 that are working well together in that game?
Yeah, I think that obviously I think everybody understands what our Trent and LaRon and we did a lot of scheming early with Michael, trying to space the floor and do some things with that and. We're going to see a loaded lane tomorrow. There's no question. That's the way Archie plays, and we've got to counter that, and we've got to do some other things. We've got to move it, and that's what is frustrating about as a coach is we ran our half-court spread offense just about as good the first 8 minutes against Penn State and got whatever we wanted. And we had, I think we had 7 possessions that were under 10 seconds, and the defense broke down. And getting our guys to understand that that's okay to do, that's what we want to do. And, it becomes like football, time of possession. I asked our guys, how many of you like playing offense? They all raised their hand. I said, well, then why do we shoot it so quick? When it's not in the first 7 seconds of the clock and we're in transition, we have numbers. And that's something that we've spent a lot of time on. And we have to continue to play with pace, play with tempo. As one of the habits we have is when things don't go well, we move like we've got cement boots on instead of continuing to flow. And that's why Tijon got loose the other night. His cuts were so hard and he moved, and we've got to continue to rip off our cuts and don't let the ball stick in our hands. And it's amazing. Every team in the country, for the most part, has a weak defender, and when you move them and do those things, you can exploit it. And first 8 minutes we were great, and it didn't matter who we had on the floor. And that's been a challenge to do it for 40 minutes.
Coach, Brad, I'm curious if you go ahead. Coach, you talked about how you didn't like that locker room after the game against Penn State. What have you been able to do to address that, and how have you gauged maybe the response since then on your team?
I think it's more than just them, and I to me and Pipe, was that you that asked the question?
Yes, sir.
And I to me it's the name on the front, and it's why I wanted the job. It's the impact of Illinois basketball, not just on those individuals that play it. But it's so broad. It's the fans. It's such a special place, and it means so much to wear that jersey. And I don't know if our guys understand that yet. That it is bigger than them, and that's why when the opportunity came for me to coach here, I get it. I know. And I talked to so many people, and I've gotten so many emails and positive notes and phone calls and text messages, and our guys have to understand that there's nothing good about performing like that. And it's so broad, and it does affect people, and for me, it goes beyond the game in trying to help them with a lesson in life. There's if you can lay down when it gets hard, then you're going to do that your whole life, and that's not a good characteristic trait. And so we've talked about a lot of those things, and it didn't necessarily have to do with anything to do with the game itself and basketball, but the competitive spirit and the emotion of the game. And we showed them clips and clips yesterday, the greatest players ever to play the game, and at the high school level and the college level, and the emotion and the passion with which you have to play. And right now we don't play that way. Trent, has some emotion and passion, and man, Illinois basketball is bigger than that, and that's I keep trying to relay that message, and it's got to be a group that there's times I think we're at a funeral and we're playing a game, to get any emotion I've tried to create it for them, you know, Derek, it's been hard, but, you know, we've talked about those things, and all we can do is continue to try to grow in those areas, and I can keep trying to educate them, and that's what I do.
Brad, it's Scott Ritchie again. I was just curious if you've ever, you know, coached at Indiana before, or just, I mean, if you had any idea kind of, you know, about, you know, what, you know, that atmosphere is like.
Played there, never coached there. Great shooting gym.
Is that all we have for Coach?
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.